Really, maybe it would be good that I introduce you to Oksana, because we're probably gonna collaborate with them. So I should introduce you. Naoto, just guide me through where are yours.
I sent you in WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Okay, good. Is it WhatsApp?
Yeah, just a second.
Slideshow. And now we'll just Is there sound?
No.
Okay. Should be.
Yeah. So hello everyone, thank you for being here. Maybe I would like to start by acknowledging that I'm nervous, that I'm here, by acknowledging the body. So I would like to invite you, if you kindly maybe can stand up, maybe. And then I can share my nervousness with you.
You're wonderful.
We just have a lunch and... Just take some seconds. Maybe just do it together one more time. Maybe just inhale. Let it go. One more time. Inhale. Okay, thank you. Now we can start.
So, our project is called Stage for Contagious Digital and Network Bodies and Code++.
I cannot remember that.
I didn't read it. So here is Jorge.
So,
This is Naoto.
I'm a dancer, choreographer. On my background, I finished my studies in multimedia design last year. I also am currently an associate researcher at Motion Bank, a project that some of you should know, might know, where I have a project that I research about the graphical representation of the body in virtual reality. So I guess I have been working also with art and science, or involved with media art, in the cross section of dance for the last 4 years. I think that's more or less.
So Jorge is like coming from dance, choreography, and like kind of merging media into dance. And from me, I'm more from a technical background. I have engineering as education, and then I'm just finishing study at the Media Art Academy in Cologne. This is like kind of graduation piece that I made banner of myself, and I'm working a lot with my body and technology. And how we started to like collaborate, or how we even like met, was in 2020, which of course is during pandemic. And when pandemic hit, I suggested to meet online to talk about dance and technology, because everyone's like so bored and we want to try something out. So I put this announcement in the Facebook group, like a public group called Choreographic Coding Labs, and 2 people showed up. One was Jorge. And since then, like, we started to like experiment with online tools. Like, for example, this image is we're using green screen and making like streaming each other, so I can disappear in the green screen and like put Jorge's face, and they do like infinite feedback loop between us. And this started to become more like a focused session, and at first I was like inviting everyone to join, but we decided in July 2020 to do something like more or less weekly, and for 2 of us, and like focused session about bodies, streaming, video, and code. So the idea is that we're going to be like working in front of the camera, but also we're like coding on the spot, like changing images, changing colors with the code.
With a lot of green key.
With green key, yes. So we actually set up this in our apartments and had made a DIY studio. And in September 2020, we had a chance to meet in real life. This was at Node Forum for Digital Art in Frankfurt. And we decided to make a great performance because it was the first time we were in the same space, and it was like online performance, but we were sharing the same space, and we're going to do it good. We had these computers, and we even have a stage design.
We really were thinking to do something good based on our sessions, but that didn't work.
Yeah, basically we had this 3D space in Mozilla Hubs, and we had like 3 screen sharing and streaming to each other, and we were also sharing the space, but this was too ambitious, and the computer crashed.
But that was good because then, I mean, by then we were aiming to do something, a performance. We were supposed to be in Node and be good, and after we failed, we realized actually that we didn't have the pressure anymore to work towards a performance, and that just freed us and we realized that there was a possibility just to find joy and just base or start developing a language.
So it becomes like not about is it functioning or not functioning, is it good or bad, but something in between that we don't define that is good or bad, or is it functioning or not, is it crashing or not, but something is like non-binary. That's like kind of where we're heading.
And something maybe that I can add at that point is like in time, where I speak personally, that if I found in time something good was like I was getting better in being uncomfortable not knowing what I was doing basically with the technology. So it was more the fact that I could just be in the space with the technology and not have the pressure with the machine to have some output.
So from then, like we started to do practice, actually the project back then called Best Practices in Contemporary Dance, and it was a practice, it's not a performance, but when we had a chance to perform at IDOC.de at Impulse Dance 2021, we did another practice for 1 hour in front of the audience, or kind of like also like engaging with the audience, and it turned out to be a performance.
And it had this element of it was a hybrid space because it was on site but also was online, and it was a causality that the only way how we could share the practice was by doing it. So it was not any way planned to be a performance, but the performance came along the way.
And so it became like hybrid performance, we call, and also we started to kind of branch out to have like workshop style where we invite participants to practice or to do hybrid performance together.
So, but then rather than because we discussed that for a while, so there was a strong element of improvisation in the practice, and when we thought about sharing the practice with people, then we thought that rather than share with them how we work with the technology, we try to find more like ways to share the strategies about being in the space together.
So basically, like we don't give like instructions. We just start with code of conduct that don't break anything. We have like 1 hour to practice together, and also we ask people to bring something in, like something to like a material, or their body can be a material, but it's not just a computer projection, but everything in the space as a actor in this hybrid performance or workshop. This is another one.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but don't throw metal balls. That's like another thing that we added in the code of conduct. Like don't, anyways, don't break things, because someone was doing like throwing stuff. Now we're here for this stage for digital
contagious and network
and network bodies and code++. And now again we're going to make Yeah.
The hashtag is very important.
So now we're gonna do a performance, and for this, kind of like we're expanding this philosophy of like sharing the practice with other people, but not in this case like in the like kind of physically like doing something together with other people, but having like audience interaction, so that people on site or people joining online can have the experience that what we're doing on the stage with the body and code.
Using live coding environments, especially for graphics.
Yeah. So the idea is that for us, like we're like comfortable like doing like this live coding on the spot, changing the code to change the image, and we want to kind of deliver that to the audience, but we can't expect everyone to do the same with coding. So we're going to use artificial intelligence to assist coding for them.
So sort of integrate copilots or finding strategies through copilots for the people to pass by through an interface, and then they can experience somehow the language that we have built in time, without telling them in a formal way what is it and what is not.
So this is one aspect of the new project's component. It's like audience interaction, user interface design, and also the strategies for choreography. That because we're going to be making performance, and we want to explore. Before it was more like improvisational, but we want to explore more in the choreographic aspects, that how we can frame it as a performance.
Yeah, I think like from the choreographic point of view, like, as I mentioned before, we always have these elements of improvisation, and now since we have a space and the time to rehearse, if you want, we can start trying to find ways to compromise in terms of structures. Then we can try to find narratives or not on the process.
So that's where we are, and we're open to questions. You ask always the question first. You know, give space to people. That's also like our philosophy. Sorry, but you can ask still. Yeah.
Another question of
No.
Like, please, Chris. Please go ahead, Chris.
you pointed to me. So.
Go ahead, Chris, please.
I was curious if you've used co-pilots with live coding so far. What's your experience?
We haven't. I mean, the closest we got is actually, so we use this tool called Hydra, which is open source, and you can use it. Anyone can try it online. And Olivia, the creator of Hydra, she's been experimenting with auto-suggestion, so that you can type and then it starts to like complete with the function name. So that's kind of in development, and I think maybe that's kind of a good starting point, and maybe adding more like a, not just like you type and complete, but it will like kind of predict something in advance, for example.
So you're basically live coding like visual interactions with you on stage, like interactive visuals. Are they just visuals, or are they interactive visuals based on some kind of data like captured?
I guess this will be part of a research what we will do. But in the past we have done is, when we are in research mode, we try to work with elements. So it could be one element, there is a motion capture system. And we try to break it down in a way that we said is a queer conversation between the bodies and bodies, in the sense that all the elements should go down to a same level, and then we start, depending on the practice, seeing what might be interesting for a session or not. So if we have the time now to start working on a choreography or a dramaturgy, then we can maybe start like experimenting with set decision sets.
Yeah, maybe if I add something a bit controversial, is like I work a lot as a software developer for other artists, and I'm kind of tired of doing motion capture and stuff, so I just want to be free of this and just have fun with camera.
Yeah, so have fun with what? Sorry.
The camera. So we have like camera image that blends into like other stuff, but that's already
just
like
the webcam.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And And then choreographically, you said you would, up to now, if I understand correctly, it's more like an improvisational practice that you developed together.
Yeah.
You want to set it more.
Like now the idea is a bit more like to indeed start finding strategies that can allow us to compromise these places where narratives might rise or might not.
When you say strategies, I assume from the origin it sounded much more like just weekly jam, almost. But as you started to have participants, external participants, like aside from having sort of rule of conduct, what are some of the strategies that up to now have arisen or seem to come back maybe multiple times? I mean, and the whole point is to develop them further now with a particular end product in mind. But I'm curious, just from a choreographic perspective of interactivity with people, like how you guide them.
From my point of view, my is that what we call, or you call the code of conduct, I will say it almost was a score. Like so far when we present, I think it has been like 3 times, 4 times when we share with people. So we haven't had the time to share more than 3, 4 times. There is always, so one of the strategies or one of the scores is like it will finish in 1 hour. You know, so it's just very basic things for allowing the people to be free. So one was like, don't break things if there's metal around. Like at some point it finishes, or 1 hour after. You don't have to be all the time in the space, but if you are, try to not think too much in what you're doing. But all of those, that's why I guess now to mention as a code of conduct, because they were allowing for other people to blend. So and now that we have the time more to be in rehearsing mode, I would like to more, that's why I use the word compromising, because I don't know if it might be good for the practice or not, because we have to take some decisions.
And I think it's also like we're kind of complementing each other. Like for example, we started with breathing, and that we do in the workshop. That kind of like, go into performance mode for everyone, and then because you have this choreographic like strategies, or like you have a big picture of like what's happening with the space. I have a feeling that because I'm more like kind of like going from inside and just like go whatever. So like it's.
But being completely honest, like I mean, and for me it's a completely new territory also. That's what I found was a great opportunity, because then we will have the time, maybe basically to create a failure for 2 months. I don't know, because we will have to change the aspect of it's based in improvisation. Yeah. So that's a risk.
Interesting, because in a space like this, in a format like this, it requires that there cannot be an explicit explanation of what the person will experience.
No.
And I also don't like leaning that way, even when there is a narrative, even when there is a purpose. So this kind of having code of conduct is interesting, is it places particular understanding or conditions on the person. Say, we're only going to be here 1 hour, which is not a restriction, but it's just it produces this sense of like, okay, this is a length of time I will be here, and it helps frame the experience. I think it's an interesting way of interacting with the person to know what they can expect in this event.
But improvisation anyway is structure. So basically, if you start to structure improvisation to score and code or behavior or body state or whatever using this tool, is just transferring this tool to physical bodies, and then it's choreographic.
Absolutely.
Already choreographic.
Like a difference, that's what I'm saying, like they might be failing, but I see it in a positive way, like for 2 months, because then you have to basically insist, and then things have to move, basically.
I have one question about to understand it, because it sounds both trying to make a simple strategy, but also include very complicated tools into it. So what's the role inside the space? So what can do easy just to exchange, to find a strategy to perform? And what about the role from the outside? I'm not clear what the role of the outside is to that experience of the people on the stage in the setting. Is there? Because you talk about an outside influence, that is outside audience, or did I misunderstand that the outside audience is there's part of the concept that the outside has an influence to the inside.
Yeah, but if I understand correctly, or in the way how I interpret it is, so far when we share the practice, we are not sharing exactly how is that we are interacting with our tools, but with the interface or with the artifact that we create, I would like to imagine that the people can also pass by and affect the space through the interface visually. That's my interpretation.
Visual interference.
Yeah, that's my interpretation.
Is it instructive or is it just a decoration?
It goes with my tools, because now I have different tools, is through live coding and feedbacks and the body going back and forth and letting it be affected by feedback loops, embodying what is happening. I know it sounds very abstract, but makes somehow it's happening.
Yeah, I think something happens and then it's fine. Like, audience will see something and then...
Okay.
It's also like
It's more about the happening now.
Yeah, I was
It's not
imagining
about
also,
interaction, it's
like,
happening.
when they change the code, even if it doesn't affect the stage, if it affects their screen, then they see something already, so...
The impact. The impact.
Hmm?
The impact of it.
Impact,
How
yeah.
The perception, how they're receiving, and actually, we're talking strategy-wise, so choreographically, how this strategy or this strategic choreography are building or creating an impact on an environment of impact.
That could be one way
You
to
have
see it.
data.
But like specifically is the way how I experience my relation with the computer. I would like to share that with the audience.
Yeah.
So since I'm not expecting that the audience have knowledge with live coding, so that's why I would like to use the
awareness.
embodiment experience of interacting with the machine and with those set of tools. So in a way, it's narrowing down. That's what I think, and might not be so nice. But I don't know. I will have to experiment because that's how it works for me. It might not work for the audience. You have to see.
Great. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.